I spent 20 years pouring my heart into the small bakery my father left me, believing it was the anchor of our family. I didn't know that while I was frosting cakes in the kitchen, my stepbrother was in a dark office signing away my father's legacy for a pile of cold cash. Hello and welcome to English Unwritten. Today we have a simple and emotional English story for listening practice. So just relax, listen carefully, and enjoy learning English naturally.
My name is Maya. To most people, a business is just a way to make money. But for me, the Golden Crust was my home. It was a small bakery on the corner of a busy street, filled with the smell of warm cinnamon and fresh bread. My father started it 40 years ago with nothing but a bag of flour and a dream. When my father passed away 3 years ago, he left the bakery to me and my stepbrother, Marcus. Marcus was the son of my father's second wife. We grew up together, but we were like oil and water. I loved the flour on my hands and the smiles of our regular customers. Marcus loved fast cars, expensive watches, and talking about big investments. My father's will was simple. He wanted us to run the bakery together. Maya has the heart and Marcus has the head for business, he used to say. I trusted my father's judgment. I thought Marcus, despite his love for money, still respected our father's memory. I was wrong.
For the first 2 years, things seemed fine. I worked in the kitchen from 5 o'clock in the morning until sunset. I created new recipes and made sure every loaf of bread was perfect. Marcus handled the bank accounts and the legal paperwork. He stayed in the small office at the back of the bakery, usually with the door locked. Lately, however, Marcus started acting strange. He stopped coming to the bakery during the day. He would only show up late at night when the shop was closed. When I asked him about our profits, he would wave his hand and say, "Don't worry about the numbers, Maya. Just keep baking. I'm handling a very important expansion." Expansion. That was his favorite word. He talked about opening 10 more shops. He talked about scaling the brand. I told him I didn't want 10 shops. I wanted this shop to be perfect. I didn't know that expansion was just a lie to keep me quiet while he prepared his trap. One Tuesday morning, I arrived at the bakery as usual. The sun was just beginning to rise. But when I reached the front door, something was different. There was a large white van parked at the curb. 2 men in gray uniforms were carrying boxes out of my shop. "Excuse me," I shouted, running toward them. "What are you doing?" "That is my equipment." One of the men looked at me with a bored expression. He held up a clipboard. "Sorry, lady. We are just doing our job. The new owners told us to clear the space by noon." New owners? I felt the world tilt. I am the owner. There must be a mistake. I ran into the shop, my heart hammering against my ribs. The display cases were empty. The smell of bread was replaced by the smell of dust and cardboard. I ran to the back office and kicked the door open.
Marcus wasn't there, but his desk was empty. Every file, every computer, every photograph of our father, it was all gone. On the center of the desk was a single legal-sized envelope with my name written on it. My hands shook so much I could hardly open the envelope. Inside was a check for $50,000 and a short note. Maya, the note read, the bakery was a sinking ship. The land it sits on is worth 10 times more than your cupcakes. I sold the property to a developer who is building a luxury apartment complex. This check is your share of the equipment. Don't try to call me. I'm moving to the coast to start something real. Goodbye. Marcus.
I collapsed into my father's old chair. $50,000. He had sold 40 years of history for a quick profit. He didn't just sell a building, he sold my life. He knew I would never agree to sell, so he forged my signature on the partnership documents. He had been planning this for months, while I was making his favorite blueberry muffins in the kitchen. The next few weeks were a blur of tears and lawyers. I spent the $50,000 just trying to fight the sale in court. But Marcus had been clever. He had moved the money into offshore accounts and disappeared. The developers had purchased the land in good faith, which meant the law was on their side. I lost everything. I lost the shop, I lost my father's recipes, and I lost my home, which was an apartment above the bakery. I was 35 years old, and I was standing on the street with 3 suitcases and a bag of old rolling pins. I moved into a tiny, dark studio apartment on the edge of town. For months, I didn't bake a single thing. Every time I smelled yeast or vanilla, I wanted to cry. I felt like a failure. I felt like I had let my father down. But one morning, I woke up and looked at my reflection in the mirror. My face was pale and thin, but my eyes were still the same eyes my father had. He didn't start the bakery with a building. He started it with a dream and a bag of flour. I took the last $500 I had. I went to the market and bought the best flour, the freshest eggs, and the sweetest butter. I didn't have a shop, but I had a kitchen in my tiny apartment. I started baking. I began selling Maya's legacy bread at the local farmer's market. At first, I only sold 5 loaves, then 10, then 50. People remembered the taste. They remembered the girl from the golden crust. They didn't care about the luxury apartments or the fancy brand. They cared about the heart in the food. 1 year later, my small stall at the market had become the most popular spot in the city. I had a line of people waiting every Saturday morning. I was making enough money to rent a small, beautiful storefront downtown. It wasn't the old bakery, but it was mine. I called it Father's Promise. As for Marcus, karma has a very long memory.
A few months ago, I was reading the business news. There was a headline about a major investment fraud on the coast. A man named Marcus Vance, he had changed his last name, had been arrested for stealing millions of dollars from his partners in a failed real estate deal. He had lost everything he stole from me and more. He was facing 10 years in prison. He had the head for business, but he forgot that a business without a soul is just a house made of cards. It was only a matter of time before the wind blew it down. I went to visit the old corner where the Golden Crust used to stand. The luxury apartments were there now, tall, cold, and made of glass. But as I stood on the sidewalk, I realized I wasn't sad anymore. My father's legacy wasn't a building. It was the strength he gave me to start over. It was the joy of a perfect loaf of bread.
I walked back to my new shop, tied my apron, and started the oven. The smell of cinnamon filled the air, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was finally home. True success is not measured by what you can sell, but by what you can build that money can never buy. If this story of betrayal and triumph touched your heart and helped you practice your English today, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. I have a question for you. If someone you trusted betrayed you for money, would you try to get revenge, or would you focus on rebuilding your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading your English practice. See you in our next story.